Hey everybody, I'm Jessica Henry Gray and I'm excited to have you back with me today on my YouTube channel. Today I am at Cleveland Art Museum. You can see it off in the distance that way. I'll turn the camera here soon and you can see it. I've got this beautiful pond and it's lovely spring colors. I'm going to push the spring colors a little bit, so I will see you on the other side of this intro. Okay, so I'm all set up to paint this scene and I've got all my equipment just ready to go here. What I have is to start out with, I'm gonna do a little sketch. So I've got my sketchbook and my dark pencil. I've got my paper towels ready. This is my open box M easel. I've got a 9x12 canvas here. Right above me, you can kind of see it there, is my umbrella. So I have that up today and it's a white umbrella. It casts a nice even shadow on my canvas. It's not too dark and heavy. So I really like that. I've got my brushes over here, sort of the hodgepodge mixture of 2, 4, 6, 8 in flat. I like that size combination. I have some smaller ones and some liners and a palette knife as well. Off to the side down here, you can see I have my odorless mineral spirits on this little cup holder, as well as my garbage bag. And down below, I have my paper towels. Off to the side over here, I have a little bit of my Galkid gel. You can use liquid or linseed oil. When I'm out and about and I want my paints to dry right away, I will try to use more of the Galkid gel or liquid because the paintings are going to be dry almost by tomorrow. So for travel, that's a great tip. All right, so let's begin with the sketch. Now, don't forget when you're out and about to bring your water, chapstick, hat. These are important things. I've got a really lightweight shirt on, and so I'm all set in the heat. I'm trying to capture these spring colors, but we're kind of out of the blossom stage, but I've got some still in the distance, and that's really what I wanted to try to focus on today. But I also have this gorgeous pond, and as you can see way off in the distance, that is the Cleveland Art Museum over there. So I may get some of that and I may not. I've done this before on YouTube here, a different time of year. So I'm excited to try this, kind of getting this perspective along this way. So when you get to a place, you can be overwhelmed by all the choices. And it did take me a while to get set up. But what I look for is just an interesting composition and a way that I can play with colors. But I look for that one thing that I really love. Now I did want to paint the spring colors, but when I got down here, it's not the spring colors, and I really did love the way that this light, the color of this water moves across, and there's this backdrop of really beautiful trees, and maybe I'll suggest the museum in the background, maybe not, I don't know, but we'll see how it goes. But so that is my focus, just getting this beautiful water pond, and I liked the curve of the wall over there. May get that in, may not, but I do like how it has that angle. So let's jump in. I'm going to do a couple of sketches first to see how I really want to play out this scene before me, the composition. I like a darker pencil for this because I can get to my value extremes faster. I can get my darks in here as they need to be. Now granted, it's a pretty high key scene, but I need to determine where my darkest darks are going to be because that is where the focus is going to be. Our eye is always drawn to that contrast. So I'm just blocking in the general bones of the scene before me. I've got some trees over here. I do like the building back here. I don't want to call a lot of attention to it because that will become the focus. And I'm going to keep that more subdued and in the shadows. the hedges and the water as it comes around. It's interesting bank, wall, and the trees, how they play in the sun over here. There's that lighter passage of these sunlit trees. So now there's a shadow cast by this large, I guess it's a willow over here. And I like that because it sort of draws the focal right to these spring-lit trees over here. And we've got a building back there. That'll help focus the attention on this passage in here. So this is all going to be middle tone, the trees, but the shadows underneath it will be pretty dark. But I'll have to be careful letting the shadows stair-step their way back, and the darks back here being not as dark as these up front. So I'm going to push that a little bit more so to show that obvious scale. Okay, so got the water coming this way. Now I've got the reflection in the pond, so I'm going to get that in there. Do you see it? Never know what you're going to hear downtown. All right, so then my water is going to be down here. Now I don't have much of that transition in the water that I like, so maybe I'll bring my composition out a little bit to accommodate. It's still a 9:12 ratio, but so if I had an eraser, I'd erase that and maybe bring this over a little more. We'll add some more of the building and some of the trees over here, the reflection this way. And then that gives me some room to build up this darker blue here and letting it fade to lighter. So I think this is a design and composition that's going to work. I could continue to play with it and add more and play with like different ideas if I want, but I do want to get going on this, and I like that. So imagine that's not there. Now I'm going to put this down here and just set that on my little board here, like that. Okay, so I am going to tone the canvas with a little bit of thinner today. And let's get some ultramarine blue, maybe a little yellow ochre. I'm looking at the greens, maybe a little sienna. And I always go a little darker than what I'm going to need because I'm going to wipe it off. That's really dark, so I'm going to add just a little bit more of the thinner because even if I wipe that off, that's going to still be pretty dark. Maybe just leave that lighter. I like this scene to show you today because I think that it's probably one that could pretty much be anywhere in the world. Anybody could go and find a scene similar to this. And I like to try to do that with my videos so that they're universal and not so exclusive to just where I am. It's something that maybe you could take a bit from this lesson and use in your neighborhood. So we've got this beautiful church bell chiming here. So I'm going to take a small brush now and draw in my design. It's still a little bit thin. I'll add a little bit more pigment of dark, whatever, blue, brown, to that mixture. It's still thin, but not as thin. So now using my thumbnail sketch, I'm going to look at the divisions that I had established. And right now I'm just referring mostly to my thumbnail sketch down below here to try to get that the way that I saw it. And then I will, of course, refer back to reality here pretty soon, but not yet. Just to get this overall flavor of where I was going in what I liked. darkest areas are in this passage in here. I want to isolate those and get them in place so that we have a sense of scale. That'll be a nice backdrop to those. I'll pull out some of the pinks of those flowering trees just a little bit more. This is a shadow on the shadowed side of these tree masses, and I do want to get these in right away because that's going to shift and change. I'm just blocking that in. It really gives them a sense of shape and sculptural form. And those shadows of the trees are really connected to the shadows on the ground. This way. And I'll squeeze in some of that blue down in here. Now some of the things that I want to attack right away are things that are going to disappear on me. And so in this light, the lighting is going to move across the sky this way, so I will work on getting some of that light in place right from the beginning. So now I'm going to work on blocking in the colors. I'm going to try to do it quickly. A little bit of Galkin gel to smooth it out. And this is phthalo blue with white. Taking a soft brush now, just want to smooth out some of these areas where they're just too choppy for what I like. Now I move on to blocking in some more of the colors in here that I want to grab. Ochre, some ultramarine blue. grab some of that white. Let some of that fade into the skyline, soften those edges. And sometimes you have a color and you think, where else can I use that? See some over here. Grab some of that brightest yellow, block in some of these spring greens where I know they're going to change. I'm going to grab those colors while the lighting is holding still, more or less. So I'm squinting down at the scene to see where these colors really pop out. Some of them in the water. Alright, so let's move to a little darker green. I like to take some phthalo green into the yellow, maybe a little ultramarine blue. Where do I see this? Not everywhere. Of the darker greens, this is kind of the lighter color. Put some of that in the water. I have it. A little more yellow ochre in the water. Okay, so I'm going to set this down and work a little bit on the water because I don't want the lighting to change on that too much. So ultramarine blue. A little sienna, tone that down. Some alizarin permanent. gradually add white. I'm going around some of these pieces of canvas because I want to show a little bit of the light shining through the water. Come back in here now to the cleaner purple that I see. And just the cleaner ultramarine blue and white. Grab a little bit more white into that. Maybe even the slightest bit of phthalo blue. Lot of white and a little bit of phthalo blue into that to indicate where the sky has come down. And I can punch my sky up a little bit more intensely. Soften some of that. I'm going to start down here with the lighter, or the darker. I'm careful not to smudge things too much. I want to keep the integrity of this lighter blue here in its own place. And I'm keeping my brush strokes horizontal. And I want to make sure to wipe it off in case I feel like it gets contaminated too much. Just going to do this first and then I'll come back through and go horizontal over it. When I get the green of the tree in there. While I see it, there's these beautiful ripples going across the water that I want to grab. Now while I'm working on this, I will just get color that I see under the water right here. It's a little bit of yellow ochre, burnt sienna, maybe some ultramarine blue. Just to piece that in. More yellow ochre and some white, some greens.
This side. And
So I'm mixing up my darker greens here. This is ultramarine blue with some yellow ochre, burnt sienna. And I'm just putting it when I squint down over there. I'm not so worried about making sure that I have followed that scene exactly as I am about making this an interesting series of patterns and shapes. Sculpting out these trees. I want them to feel like the foliage has shape and body and a roundness, a fullness. So I'm giving them these pieces of shadow color for the shape. And then of course receding in intensity as I go back. So a little bit more white to cool it down. Some in the water. All right, now I'm going to work on getting some of the buildings in place. know everybody thinks they live in a great city, but you don't get much better than Cleveland.
That is amazing.
Oh,
Absolutely
thank you.
amazing.
Thanks.
Yes.
A little bit of phthalo with alizarin permanent and white, magenta. I like to add a little bit of white to my yellow and phthalo green to really get that feeling of sunlight on this grass back here. You'd think the white cools it down, and it does, but it also lends just something of a sunlight on grass color that I think seems appropriate. Some sunlight on these trees over here. this little guy I'm just going to use to put in the shadows along the bank. This purplish brown. Letting some of the white from on top mix in it.
That's really nice.
Thank you.
Pretty.
All right, and for the final things I want to do is I just want to go through and put in the trunks and then soften some of these reflections and put like a shimmer on the surface of the water. And then maybe some details in the buildings. So still using my little brush. And I do have a brush that's smaller yet than this one, which I can use. But for now, this is working fine. to just soften the water where the reflections come down. So I want a clean, dry, really soft brush. Starting with the darks. Very barely touching it.
Those words, I just get struck right here. So what are your boys
Now I want to just dust on a surface of shimmer from just on the surface. I'm taking the same dry brush. There's barely any paint on it. All right, everybody, well, that wraps us up. I wanted to thank you so much for joining me, and be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And be sure to check out the links below. I've got some wonderful workshops coming up. All right, you guys, I will see you next time. Bye-bye. After waiting a couple years, it would appear that this year, summer 2022, we will finally get to see our workshop in France take place. There are a couple spots left for people if they're interested in joining. I will have all the links below. The dates are not what you just saw there. They are June 27th to July 7th of 2022, this year. We are on the books for next year, 2023, if you would like to join us. This workshop takes place 5 hours south of Paris in the most beautiful places in the world. This is a unique and incredible opportunities. It's a 10-day workshop, mostly plein air. I will have an evening where I do a portrait demonstration. But we will be out to all these different places to plein air paint and make unforgettable memories and just really break down the essentials of plein air painting in truly the most unique place in the world. This workshop is all-inclusive. The only thing it doesn't cover is your flight and just a couple meals, but everything else is taken care of. And as well as all of that, we will be spending a couple days in Paris. Non-teaching, they're just join along with me as we look at really cool places in Paris, the Musée d'Orsay and the Louvre. Maybe just a couple, 2-3 days. We'll have to see how things go with COVID and everything, but that is the plan. So let me know if you'd like to be on the books for 2023 or if you want to join us this year. Oregon is one of my most favorite places on the planet. I absolutely love the Cannon Beach area to visit for plein air painting. Listed in the top 100 most beautiful beaches in the world by National Geographic, Cannon Beach is a joy to plein air paint. The Oregon beaches truly are one of my most favorite beaches in the world. The water is a stunning aqua, deep sapphire, velvety blue. It's just unlike anywhere else in the world, with massive rocks and starfish, crashing waves. There's an endless supply of things, of subject matter to paint. The first day of the class, we will be up at Indian Beach, overlooking the water, and there are beautiful cliffs. Either direction to paint in is absolutely breathtaking. Whether the sun is shining or if it's overcast, it is still a beautiful place to paint. There's almost a magical quality to the air and the environment. The road going up to Indian Beach is shrouded in mystery and trees dripping with moss and age. It feels like you're stepping back into somewhere prehistoric. For the second day of the workshop, we will be right in the middle of Cannon Beach at the most iconic image, Haystack Rock. Haystack Rock rises 235 feet above the ocean and is truly majestic in any kind of lighting and atmosphere. So that it will be the second day as we focus on composition and painting rocks as well. On the third day of the workshop, we will just go down the coast a couple minutes drive to Arcadia Beach. And this is a gorgeous location to paint where we can sort of blend everything we've been working on throughout the workshop. Rocks, water, composition, atmosphere, color. We're going to cover it all, and we have a great time doing it. I hope that you can join us and check out the links below. This is a wonderful opportunity to just study how to plein air paint in a fantastic location. It's soothing and relaxing listening to the ocean waves while painting. Just sort of takes all your cares and washes them right back out to the sea. I love painting in the ocean, especially early in the morning like this. This Cannon Beach, Oregon workshop is very popular and it is starting to fill. Many of the students like to stay a few days and just travel down the coast and just check out everything that there is to see and paint.